Libertas Intel here. Vice on HBO aired a segment called We the People on March 20th, 2015, which was last Friday. This segment was Season 3, Episode 3. It featured 3%ers from Colorado, the Southern Poverty Law Center, and a former DHS senior domestic terrorism analyst. Also, various news headlines were used to demonize that group from Colorado. But here, I'll let you listen to it for yourself.
To find out more about what's behind this most recent surge in popularity of the Patriot movement, I spoke to Mark Potok of the Southern Poverty Law Center, an organization that monitors extremist groups throughout the country.
The boom in Patriot groups was pretty much a direct response to the election of Obama and what that election represented, the big demographic change happening in this country. A very significant slice of the population saw this as a terrible thing and felt that their country had been taken from them. Patriot militia groups in particular grew by some 800+%, from about 150 groups to more than 1,360 groups in the course of 4 years. This is a world that really worships weapons and weaponry and fighting. And their idea is that the government is somehow every day becoming more tyrannical. It's easy to kind of laugh these groups off, but we ignore the threat from the American domestic radical right at our peril.
Is going to be felt for many years to come.
Yeah, so the SPLC are funded by Zionists. I included the links down below in the description. So here's this guy here. He's a former DHS terrorism analyst, and he's gonna tie in all these random events and use these random occurrences to demonize the militias and the Patriot movement in general. I'm not sure why he's former DHS, but the segment did not have any official representative from the government. Only this guy and the SPLC.
Daryl Johnson is a former senior domestic terrorism analyst for the Department of Homeland Security.
It served not only as a recruitment tool to bring more people into these extremist causes, that became a radicalization node because they did take arms against the federal government and got away with it.
This victory over federal authorities emboldened the movement and even inspired some of its more extreme members to carry out even deadlier actions.
One such example of radicalized individuals from the Bundy Ranch is Jared and Amanda Miller, who stood side by side with the militia and repelled the federal
Jared Miller actually worked for the Obama campaign back in his home state, I think it was Indiana. And also, they were never really allowed into the Bundy camp. They were on the outskirts there, which is like a public area, and some people were even questioning how he even got interviewed on TV.
Government.
I really don't want violence toward them, but if that's the language they want to speak, we'll learn it.
A few weeks later, they would carry out a violent attack in Las Vegas, Nevada, killing 2 police officers and draping them with the Gadsden Minutemen flag. And there are many Jared and Amanda Millers who were at the Bundy Ranch who are now back in their communities. We've had a number of recent domestic terrorism attacks that no one even realizes has happened. For example, the NAACP office in Colorado was recently bombed. We've had police officers shot in Florida and Pennsylvania under political causes. There have been a number of these attacks that the media doesn't follow up on to see what the motivation was, and so a lot of people don't realize that these are terrorist attacks.
But it's not just confrontations like the Bundy standoff that's fueling the growth of Patriot groups. President Obama's policies regarding illegal immigration and border control have been perceived as so lenient that it's only further galvanized the movement. Now, many have taken border security into their own hands.
They look at it as a foreign invasion, taking away jobs, taking away our rights. This feeds into the cause of the militia to organize and to train. And so a number of vigilante groups formed along the border of Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico.
This is basically
So they are taking the jobs. A recent Breitbart article stated that illegal immigrant males outnumber natural U.S.-born males by 12% in the workforce.
the fence stops at what we call the pedestrian walk around. It only goes about 2 miles, and then after that it's wide open. With the amnesty that's going on, basically it's just opened up the border. Obama's taking them from here and putting them all over the country. We have no idea where they're going. We're finding out a lot of these people are criminals and from terrorist countries.
You think there are terrorists coming over?
Absolutely. I mean, we have the ISIS problem going on. They've stated they're going to come to our country. Obama's just made it basically easy for anybody, just wherever you're from in the world, you can just come here and just walk right in and start living here.
Our government's not committed to anything but putting money in their pockets, in my opinion. This is a duty more than a job.
It's at the point where the federal government won't even act to secure its own nation's borders. The common citizen is just going to have to take over for himself.
If the government is no longer doing what it's supposed to do, then the people have the power to make the changes necessary. We're prior service veterans who wants to get involved and wants to help and wants to do what's right. And now that we're no longer under contract with them and have to follow their orders, they're afraid of what we might do.
We have the right to put an end to it. Our operations are anywhere from 20 to 100 people, and it's growing faster than we can keep track of it.
This militia's numbers have grown so much that they're now able to send out additional teams that patrol throughout the night.
Alpha, this is Bravo. Bravo is advancing to your position.
As more militias arrive heavily armed at the border, federal authorities have grown increasingly concerned.
Today, we find ourselves at a white-hot period of extremism in America. Due to the sheer size of the Patriot movements, the fact that we've got hundreds of thousands of people that subscribe to these extremist belief systems, the military training that they have, and the capability, the massive amounts of firearms and explosives, I consider them one of the greatest threats here in the country.
In fact, a recent study funded by the Department of Homeland Security found that local law enforcement considers extreme anti-government groups 2 of the top 3 greatest terrorist threats to America.
Patriot groups inspire people to carry out violence in the name of a political cause. We've had police officers that have been killed, we've had federal buildings targeted, we've had mosques burned. Individuals become radicalized to the point of carrying out acts of terrorism, and we're long overdue for a mass casualty-producing attack.
So in closing, there is a Vice on HBO debrief, which was published on YouTube. I'll provide the link below. Libertas Intel out.